In studio for a little bit is State Treasurer John Schroder. Welcome back to Kiel. How you doing?
Hey guys, long time no see.
I apologize for Aaron's what's the word I'm looking at? Aberrant behavior. No, because nothing aberrant about. It's what papers was she waving around? You and Miss Ruth come in and she's going, "I want my money.
Give me my money."
What?
She's got part of that $852 million. Not all of it, just a little fraction portion of it.
Yeah, I don't know what it's from either. I'm not sure. You know what it said? It said greater than 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then when I looked it up, I thought it was more than 200 of my money.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, for anyone who does not know, what on earth are we talking about?
Unclaimed property, right?
That's right. So I'm the state treasurer for Louisiana, and my one of my duties is to oversee that program. So, as I've said, the state gets $80+ million a year, and it's new money every year. And I tell people, just because you check today and don't have any, every October, September till the end of the year time frame, we get more money in every year.
Let me ask you a question, because I have a brother on there who's on your list, but he's deceased. Who his sons need to claim it?
Yeah, whoever has the legal bounds to the heirs, can claim it.
Do they have to bring? I mean, if he didn't have a will, can they just show up they're his sons?
No,
or whatever?
if you just can't walk in and say, "Hey, that's mine." You're gonna have to prove who you are, what you are, and if you're an heir, that you have the legal documentation.
She was gonna cut her hair. That's why I'm.
I'm gonna pretend to be one of his sons. Let me ask you this.
Hi, my name's McCarty.
I looked at your Facebook page. I ain't never seen you be this direct in a long time.
Because I'm just getting tired. I've been playing nice for a while, and I'm just really getting tired of hearing how great everything is.
Yeah.
After spending 10 years in the legislature fighting and battling over this, battling over that, you can't tell me just because you raised $600 million in taxes that everything is just wonderful now.
Yeah, but you're basically saying, that Louisiana is on a road to. I said financial Armageddon. Your term was financial disaster.
Well, it is. It's disaster in anybody else's world, and for whatever reason, we allow government to do this. We allow government to grow faster than what we can afford, which is why they need more taxes. We're on an inevitable track to a crash. It's just a matter of when. You're starting to see it in these municipalities across the state who can't afford to operate.
You're in one now. We're in trouble here.
So we went from having one town to I think 11 now, and growing. The list is growing. So you can see it in the state. Your personal wealth is growing less than the government's growth, and that doesn't work. It doesn't work anyplace else. Aaron, let's face it. If your expenses were more than your paycheck, what would happen?
I would cut back on what I'm spending.
Or you'd be done. You'd be out.
Right. They kick me out of my house.
Yeah.
Mr. John.
Okay, John, wait, hold a minute.
Let me shed my Republican cloak for a moment.
Shed away.
And become a bit of a devil's advocate.
Yeah.
It's an election year. You're a Republican. You're just busting on John Bell. Convince me, like that thing that you see on the internet.
Yeah.
Convince me otherwise.
I'm so sick of hearing that. Look, I know I've only been treasurer for 15 months. I've been screaming about this for 12 years. This is my 12th year of saying the same thing. You've heard me on this radio station years ago. I got kicked off for appropriations as a Republican freshman in my third year for fighting the same fight. The great thing about being state treasurer is I have a podium now just to keep talking about these things, because this is all common sense. I'm telling you, the math does not add up. This isn't politics, it's mathematics.
What can we do about it? I'm mad like you are.
Start electing some people that just have the pecans to say no.
Well, we thought we did, but then they go down there and their pecans fall off.
I agree. The bottom line is the governor has a lot of power in this state. Always has. This doesn't just happen under this governor. But the problem is Louisiana is a big taker state. We have a lot of people who rely on government in this state for their survival, and it's a shame. And
when I look in the eye of somebody running for office, what should they pledge to me today, John Schroder?
Let me tell you, I said this yesterday in Monroe. I spoke at lunch yesterday. There's when you have a heart problem, you go to a heart doctor. When you got a tooth problem, you go to the dentist. I think right now government needs some Trump-like people from a business standpoint. Maybe not with all the other stuff that goes along with it, but you need to have some folks around who understand what it means to invest a dollar and make a dollar. Government's to the point where it keeps taking. It never lives to play another day or plan for the future at all. In business, you have to do that. I'm a survivor. I understand what it takes to invest a dollar, make that dollar back, plus 8%, 10%, whatever, pay my bills, turn around and do it again, and not waste a penny. You know, and y'all have heard me say you got to treat a penny like a dollar. Well, that does not happen in Baton Rouge. It's not happening in government. Government's thirst for money and growth. And it's not that anybody's a bad guy or bad gal or bad people. They're not bad people. They're just spending because nobody's stopping them. If you let your kids have a Corvette versus a 1982 Dodge pickup truck that's all beat up, what do you think they're going to take? You know, if you let people keep taking, they will continue to take. The problem is the people paying that bill, I think, are at their max. Mm-hmm. I think they're at the max of where they can go tax wise. People talk about big business. You know, I got blasted a little bit on my Facebook page last night that big business this, big business that. You can't blame this on big business. This is classic overspending, period. Mm-hmm. And we are on a road to disaster.
So you're on the way through town. You headed home. You got something going on this morning.
We've been up here.
Cracker Barrel with Erin.
Yeah, Erin's taking everybody
She's
to
got
breakfast.
$200, buddy.
Yep.
Thanks to you.
Yep. We've been here since yesterday. A lot of different things. You know, I tell people we go on a lot of speaking engagements. Mm-hmm. I enjoy talking and sharing what my thoughts are. They're just a common sense approach to things. So we were here. We didn't finish. We finished at the town hall at a council meeting in Halton last night. And we'll start today with talking about unclaimed
one
property.
Question you get when you're driving. What's the number one question that people ask you when you do a Q&A?
Is it what I thought it was? Most people know I'm from the business world. What is my thought now that I'm inside? You know,
now that you opened the trunk, did you screech as loudly as you anticipated?
Well, I don't know if I've told y'all this before. You know, one of the things I noticed when I first got in office is that, you know, the public servants, the state workers, they've lost faith in the political process. You know, so one of the things that I do every day is go to work, mm-hmm. leave my politics at the door, and restore some faith in the people who are going to work for us every day with the state,
right,
inside my department. You know, I can't affect what goes on outside my department, but I can certainly affect what's inside our department.
Can I drill down on something with you? Because
mm-hmm.
I know you probably are very bright on this topic, and it's local. So we are in a pinch in our city, and you're probably not real familiar with it, but we've let our reserve fund dip to about 1%, and it's critically low now. And there's concern it's going to impact our bond rating. I know you know all about that. I mean, you're in charge of the bond commission. Does that have a long-term cost to our city? Explain in as simple a terms as you can why having such a low reserve is going to immediately impact our bond rating.
You know, you just described what's the problem with the state, and it's happening at every level. You know, it's pretty simple, and I explain it this way. When you go buy a house and you have great credit, no debt, you get a better rate, mm-hmm. right?
You bet.
When you go buy a house and if you're borderline and you got a lot of debt, you got to pay credit cards, you got car notes, what happens? You don't get the same kind of loan that the person with no debt gets. You mm-hmm. pay more to borrow your money. So government's no different. If government's debt is not in check, it will cost you more to borrow money. Or you can't borrow it at all, which means then in a lot of cases, you can't fix the things that need to be fixed.
For a municipality What's the standard? What should be in the reserve? I'm hearing 7%, somewhere in that neighborhood. Is that about right?
I don't know what the standard is for municipality because everyone's different, different sizes.
But would you say 1% is critically low?
No, it's almost non-existent. The state of Louisiana.
It's one good lawsuit, right?
Yeah, the state of Louisiana is 5th to worst in the country. We only have like 5 days of a rainy day fund.
Oh.
We should have somewhere in the realm of 1.2 to 1.5 billion, and we have about 350 million. Up until the last surplus that we got, I have not seen that money roll over yet.
Can you hang around? Do we need to take a break?
No, we can go a couple of seconds more,
Okay,
and then we can let them hit the road.
Because I also want to ask you about the gas tax. John, come on. Baton Rouge needs a new bridge. You drive down there all the time. So they got to build a new bridge, right?
They do have to build a new bridge, and they have to do a lot of things. There's a lot of infrastructure needs in the state, which, Aaron, y'all heard that I'm pushing a new bill this year that creates a revolving loan program for infrastructure for local municipalities.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, using unclaimed property money and put the principal away so the government gets its mitts off of it. And invest it and create a dividend. Look, we have huge infrastructure problems, which is one reason why we have to get out of the local business because we can't afford our state business. Our capital.
So we got to raise the gas tax to pay for that bridge, right?
And I'm not raising no tax. Look, we're going to spend more money this year than in the history of our state. And I'll bet you a cheeseburger or breakfast later today that we're going to spend more money in the next fiscal year than we are this current year. Money isn't our problem. Spending is.
The revenue estimating conference mess we're in, and people may not understand they estimate how much revenue we're going to have. Speaker Barra has been kind of, holding out, not agreeing.
Right.
Where are we going to be? What kind of surplus are we looking at? Do you have a guesstimate?
Well, it's what they're estimating is how much more money the state will receive in the next fiscal year. So, not only
Lord,
not
seen this movie.
Yeah, exactly. So not only are we spending what we have, they're trying to already divvy up the extra that they think we're going to have.
What happened to putting it away?
Bingo. Yeah, I mean because that's too much common sense.
Yeah.
This and Aaron, one of the things I've learned more than anything, going back to your question, common sense is a bad term, a bad phrase in government. We lack common sense. I don't understand. You walk inside that building full of marble. I think it sucks the brain cells out of you, because you would not make the same decision in your own personal finances or in your personal business or your personal home that happens inside that building.
Because you're using somebody else's cash.
Right. Exactly. So when you say, "Well, you're just talking politics," well, you don't know anything about me. And I tell people, go check my background, and you'll see. I've been screaming about this for years. Took 6 years to get a bill passed. 6 years to get a bill passed to tell state government you can't spend one-time money on reoccurring expenses. Now, that's like going to pay your house note with a credit card.
Yeah.
We do that in state government.
You said elect people that won't do this, but we have a legislative session starting Monday. These people are already in office. What can we do while they're in office next week and for this session to keep them from overburdening us yet again? Are there some tricks of the trade? Should we email them? Should we blow them up? Should we call them? What should we do?
Whoa, you mean blow them up with emails and phone calls?
Yeah, I'm not going to physically blow anyone up.
I just wanted to clarify.
Come on
it's the 21st
now.
century. You're
Don't come get me, feds. I love the feds.
You're a dangerous, impulsive-ridden woman.
I know.
Okay.
That's a tough task. And I tell legislators and look, I'll be speaking at a town hall meeting this morning, and I know there'll be a new legislator, somebody who's running for a seat for Jim Morris's seat. That's and my encouragement to these guys is you are at a disadvantage to the administration. You got to remember now the administration's there every day, go to work every day. They know the ins and outs. Legislators are absolutely behind the ball when it comes to that because The state doesn't work for them. They're part-time. They're never going to become an expert at anything. You become somebody that knows a little bit about everything. So you're beholden and you're vulnerable to the people who hold all the information, and that's a huge problem. And certainly you're not going to want to have legislators that are full-time, but you got to understand the sort of the mechanics on how government works. The governor is in control because he's in control of the information. You know, so getting back to the REC, we can't possibly allow government to spend money they think they're going to get. That hasn't worked, will not work, hasn't worked in the past. And this estimating conference, it's an estimate. They're wrong more than they've been right. You know, what I suggested a couple years ago, and I know this bill is filed. I just don't know what legislator filed the bill. To only spend up to like 97% of what the Revenue Estimating Committee says we have. If we would do that on an annual basis, create a savings, some money would be left over for infrastructure projects. You can pay down some of your debt, pay down the retirement debt, which puts more money into the general fund at the end of the day. We have to force a savings. I don't know why we think of the word savings is like talking to the devil in state government.
By the way, we were when we were talking about pecans earlier, Dodie Horton texted me. She said, "I still have mine."
Well, let me tell you, if everybody in that building had the same courage that young lady had, we could probably make some changes in Baton Rouge.
John Schroder, state treasurer,